Welcome back to episode, I think this is 16, Adam?
16, big 1-6.
All right. 16 of the Roofball Federation of America podcast. Today, we're just literally a few days away from the 2024 Roofball World Championships. And today, that's going to be pretty much the topic of conversation. As you all know, we usually have a guest, I don't know, guest host, I want to say, but an interviewee. Is that the right term?
That's
Adam?
right. Yeah, I'll go with that.
Excellent. All right. Well, today we're bringing on Jeff Chambers.
Hey, there he is.
We are. How are you doing, Jeff?
All right. How's it going?
It's going pretty well. How about yourself?
I'm pumped for Saturday.
Excellent. So you're coming here on Saturday. Today is Wednesday as we're recording this. Where are you right now?
I am back home. I'm in Michigan.
All right. So we're flying out from Michigan to Oregon here in a couple days. And where were you just recently?
Well, I was just in Florida within a couple hours, so I just made it home, and I'm getting ready to make another trip.
There you go. So country traveler Jeff Chambers will be coming all the way to the West Coast from the East Coast just a few days ago to be here. Now, Jeff, you won the Motor City regional last year, and then you came out to Oregon for the U.S. Open, and darn near won the U.S. Open last year. Now, like I said at the beginning, most of our conversation is going to be about the upcoming tournaments, and we want to do some previews and stuff. But could we quickly kind of get just a little short story of how you got into the Motor City last year, what that experience was like, and then, of course, what the experience coming all the way out to Oregon was and playing in the U.S. Open?
Yeah, sure. Like everyone else, I was watching it on old YouTube. I found myself watching multiple tournaments. And then I just made one comment and someone said, reach out. And then I did. Next thing you know, Adam's like emailing me and he hooked me up with, for the Livonia tournament, and which was awesome. I couldn't believe I was just in. So I got to go out there. I was nervous. I'll tell you that much. I got there early. They were setting up. And I just didn't want to embarrass myself in front of anyone on YouTube. So I said, let's just try to get out of the first round. And not even thinking I had a chance. But the next thing you know, I won the damn thing. So it was awesome.
49 catches.
Yep, 49 catches. I played a smart game, not a great game, but it was enough to get it through. And then, I got the invite to go out to the U.S. Open. And I didn't know if it was going to be logically going to happen, but I made it happen, and I'm glad I made the trip. Had an awesome time. Loved Mama Willis. She was amazing. I got to go out to dinner with them the night before with you too, Adam.
Yep.
Great experience meeting your family, and I had a hell of a time at the tournament. And yep, I was a little short, but second place pretty good for the first big tournament.
I would say that's pretty good.
Absolutely.
I would also say you have to win a regional or a major to meet Adam's family. That's part of the deal. So good job, Jeff.
Thanks.
A whole bunch of people haven't done that or are scratching their heads right now. So how did I meet them?
Their grandfather did. Come on.
Yeah, fair enough.
So tell us a little bit, as you said, you played a smart game, maybe not a great game, which I think on that roof was probably a great game, but there's a big difference in scoring between what we would normally see in almost any tournament compared to the Motor City Regional. So why don't you walk us through that? Because Adam was there and he told me about it, and then I watched the video and I was like, those guys are trash. It sucks. So I probably said some really negative things about the scoring there. But what did you feel the difference? There's obviously differences, but what was the difference to you from playing those two roofs?
I got to Livonia and I threw a couple balls and I thought, oh my God, they make it look a lot easier. So I was like, I'm in trouble, like really tough. And then once I saw everyone else starting to play, which I was in the first game, so I didn't know exactly how it was going to go, but I was like, dude, this is rough. So I just knew, checking out the crowd, I just knew I needed to get to the next round. So I was like, I got to make these catches, so that's exactly what I did. And then when I did show up to good old Willis Park, I was relieved I could, play a little bit different of a game. And then, I mean, obviously I scored a lot higher and did pretty well there. All three of us did, obviously, the Gibson twins. That we were the three finalists, so that was awesome.
Yeah, I wondered when you guys started playing there if it would have been sort of like resistance training, like you'd played on the most difficult roof ever. Then you saw mom's roof and like, we can do this. This is
Yeah.
easy. But my favorite thing, by the way, about that whole thing was so many people commenting on the day of the US Open saying, oh, wow, this roof's great for roof ball. I was like,
Yeah.
right. It was invented, whatever. Sure, fine, whatever.
Well, with that, and you mentioned a couple of the other competitors, so let's dive into the tournament, the upcoming tournament here in a few days, the World Championships, kind of a big one. Um, we wanted to ask you on there because earlier this year or late last year, I'm trying to look at the date, but I can't see it. You put together a top 10 list of players from last year, which I find fascinating and loved.
Why? Who was number one, Derek?
even without, that's the kind of thing I like, those types of things. But even without being just the best player ever last year, I did like it. And so most of those players, not all of them, but most of them will be here during that tournament. So, Jeff, you're a newcomer to the game, but you said you watched a lot of the tournaments on video, and obviously you put some time and effort into making that video and looking at everything that went down last year, creating your own scoring system based on places in different tournaments and things like that. Which I will say, I think semifinals should also get something. But even without that, we wanted you on here to kind of have that conversation. So let's just have it. We have a full field coming up on Saturday. Any favorites that stand out for you? Anybody you haven't seen before that you're familiar with? And maybe Adam, I should start with you. You can give us some names to chat about here that are showing up. But what are we thinking? What are we thinking? We might be playing in the rain on Saturday. It could be a whole new ball game.
Yeah, hopefully the rain holds off. But for first off, I never got to play with you, Derek. So it'll be my first time finally meeting you because you were not at the U.S. Open. So I think, honestly, looking at the list and some of the players I've played with and some players that were there, I think there's tougher competition than ever before. So we're going to see how you hold up as the champ. I'm sure you'll do good, but there's going to be some new competition showing up. Obviously, my boys, the Gibsons, they came out and played awesome. And, I know a lot of people gave us a slack on Livonia. So we went in saying like, hey, we got to make sure, we show these guys what's up today. And that's what we're hoping to do again. But definitely be looking out for them. And then you got some guys like Buddy Evans. Obviously, Buddy gets going, throwing those around. He's hard to compete with. So that's someone you always got to watch out for.
Well, so tell me, this is one theory I have, and let me know if you think I'm crazy, if you're on board with this. So you got Damian and Darren. Darren narrowly lost to you in a throw off in Livonia, narrowly beat you at the US Open. Damian finishes third in both places. I got to think that eats Damian alive, right? Because right now I think Roofball Nation's like, oh, so Darren is the guy. And Damian's like, anybody else finishes third in both those tournaments, they've had a great year. But Damian's like not even first place in his own family. So I think he comes out here with his hair on fire, the little hair that the twins have, which is a lot coming from me. I think he's out. He's going to be super motivated. Did you see anything in playing against those two guys that tells you that either one is inherently better than the other, or has it just sort of been luck of the draw so far?
I think it could have went either way with all three of us, honestly. We all played really solid games. I know Damian, it was eating him alive because it was eating me alive to take second because I knew I had Darren's number and he got me. But like I said then, I said if I'm going to lose to anybody, it's I'd love to lose to one of those guys. So but I understand. I guarantee that Damian's ready to go. I got a little fired up too, and they kept saying we're going to have the twins in the finals, the twins, and I was like, no, wait a minute, what about me?
Yeah, just because you don't have a twin, you're not important. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, Jeff, I had not really parsed through all the scorings from the US Open until a few days ago. Man, you dodged a couple of bullets in that thing. I think you almost didn't make it out of the first round. I think you were very narrowly made the second round. Then you had a great second round, if I'm remembering this right.
Yeah, that first game was I didn't even deserve to win the first game. I think my nerves got to me a little bit. I threw an over. I came back. Everyone was like, "What is he doing?" I was trying to look at the score, and I was like, "Calm down." I took a swig of beer, and I was like, "All right, you didn't fly all the way out here to lose in the first round. Let's get back out there."
Which is exactly why Buddy Emmons is your biggest competition, I think. You guys are the two most that are fueled by beer. I think it makes me worse. It makes you guys better. I'm not sure how that works, but well, and then I'll tell you, I think another thing that gets kind of lost in the final was in the semis. It was you, Christian, and me. And I had a chance the last throw of regulation. If I would have pinged, you and Christian would both have been out. And then of course you and Christian had a throw off. So you had two brushes with being eliminated there, including and in addition to the one in the first round. So, and I got to tell you, it's almost funny based on Roofball history that you didn't win the championship. Usually, when people are dodging bullets all day, they end up winning the whole thing. Really, I think it's really a testament to Darren being able to keep his wits about him that you outpointed him. What in that championship? Do you remember any specific moments where you thought maybe you thought, "Oh, I think I've got this"?
I always thought I had it. Anything can happen. I'm hoping he throws an over. Anything can change the game at any time. And I know I can always, get the lucky, get the around, maybe get the extra multiplier. Anything can happen. Just like I got in the other games. Like maybe I got a little lucky on some of them, but I knew when the shot counted, when it mattered, I got to calm down. I got to make it happen. So that's how I've always been. Always trying to be calm, collective, and do it.
So coming out here for the second time, do you have is there more planning or strategy now that you've played on the roof and an experience that
I don't think it's more strategy. I think it'll definitely help to knock off some of those nerves, because I know when I got there and the Barstool guys were there and I see all these people and I was thrown around, I felt okay. And then, man, there was some big time competition there. And I was like, I don't know what happened in that first game. All of a sudden, I kind of got a little flustered a little bit. And there was I don't know if it was that game, but there was some scoring problems going on. And we had to stop for a second. And I was like, all right, what the heck is going on here? I got to calm it down here a little bit.
Well, let me ask you about the travel component. We have 11 players that are coming from out of state. It's kind of a cheat. Two of them are coming from Vancouver, Washington, which is basically part of Portland, but a bunch of people flying in, a bunch of people driving in same day. How much does the travel affect your play, your mentality, your stress level, and all of that?
Travel, not too bad. There is the time difference is the difference for me. So, we play, what time is it? 12, 1 o'clock. And for me, that's already 4 p.m., so it's a little bit of a time difference. But I did make it a little smarter this time because I'm flying in early on Friday, so I can try to get myself put together a little bit and make sure I get some good sleep the night before.
Well, key question for you. One of the traveling people is Roofball great Dan O'Reilly flying in from Texas. Did you see him last year at the World Championships? Do you have a scouting report on our 6-time champion?
I watched him from 2007. So I watched all of his tournaments. I know he thinks maybe the game has passed him a little bit, but I think it's still in there somewhere, and I hope we get to see it come on Saturday for Dano.
Yeah, we mean Babe Ruth. So
right, Babe Ruth. My bad.
So Adam, do you want to kind of pick some names out here? Any interesting stories we have coming in, or I know
sure.
Buddy's looking for
I think this was Jeff's favorite memory. Let's talk about Scott Grenstead. He's an interesting one. Him and Nate Roner, I kind of put in the same basket, and Doug Webb too. Guys who have been very close to breaking through. They've had good numbers, but haven't quite broken through all the way. What have you seen out of Scott's arm?
Well, Scott, obviously he will put it all on the line, as we saw as he went flying into the pool in Livonia. It's funny that you say that. As we're sitting here talking, he just messaged me talking about the roof that he is building also. So obviously he's got roof ball in his blood. So the guy's building the roof. And I know he'll put it all on the line. I do look forward to seeing him again out there this time in Portland.
Yeah, it's kind of like an infectious disease for him.
Yeah, we've gotten into the bloodstream. Derek, I want your thoughts on Doug Webb, because he's another D Webb. He's kind of encroaching on your territory. What is your scouting report on Doug? You played against him once.
Yeah, we played in the Oregon regional last year, and if I remember right, I think he finished third, which is great. He's a relatively local guy. I don't know if he's headed. Has he played any other tournaments? Did he play in the RFA Cup last year?
Just the U.S. Open after
Just
the
okay.
regional, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So he had some really good throws, really solid throws. So I would imagine that much like pretty much probably any competitor there this weekend, he definitely has a shot at it. What I remember at is very minimal mistakes, and those came kind of at the end there, and why he didn't make it to the final two. That's kind of what I remember. I vaguely, didn't know the guy before then, so I was watching him play, and he's definitely one of those guys you're like, oh, he has a consistent throw. So,
It's
he's not
interesting you
a
bring that up, Derek, because I was watching video of him last night to get clips of him for the show open for the tournament. And I was trying to find something kind of quirky or weird or him kind of out of control or whatever, something that was visually interesting. The dude is super controlled. His delivery was the same every time. The ball went within like a few inches of the pole almost every throw. I think he's a legitimate threat. If he gets in a groove, I would look out for Doug. Same thing with Nate. Nate had a phenomenal first or second round game where he was scoring into the 40s, into the 50s in one of the games, I think in the US Open, where the lowest score was in the high 40s in the second round. That dude, if anyone's going to be affected by travel, he's flying in morning of, flying out night of. I think if we ever get Nate in Oregon for more than 24 hours, look out. Derek, I know you're the defending champs, got to be said. I'm sitting here with all three of us won at least one tournament last year, so that's pretty exciting. But, you're looking for your 14th championship. If you win this thing, you'll technically compete your fourth cow.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anybody out there that you're kind of, I'm daring you to say it, Derek. I know the way you think, but anyone out there that you're like, man, I would kind of like to avoid playing against them head to head?
Well, I mean, the only person that can beat me is me, right? So, no. Okay. I mean, obviously, I'm extremely familiar with a lot of the people who will be there. You, Adam, Buddy, Dano, the list goes on and on. And have had good games and bad games against all those folks and know all the things they can do and maybe some of the things that they shouldn't do. And then there's the new guy. So, Jeff, I haven't played against you, as you mentioned. I have not played against the Gibson brothers. And it's like, Darren threw a 77, right? I've thrown a 72 and a 70, I think. And
74 is your high. No, it's 72,
sure.
You're right. 72 is your high.
Yeah. So, and that's amazing. And that can be done in one, 10 inning game. But to win one of these majors, you got to go through 5 rounds of this stuff. And that competition just gets, harder and harder. So it really just depends on, for me, mental preparation and constantly what we were just talking about with Doug, being as repetitive as possible. I know, Adam, we've talked about your throw in the past. How you have the same kind of motion you go through.
But it goes in wildly different directions.
Yeah, well, there's other issues, but you're starting off with the same thing. You're not just going up there and haphazardly seeing it. So you can go back and watch old tournaments and see players who may get 3 or 4 pings like within, maybe the first 5 throws, but you're watching them, you're like, that's not going to last. Because it's just, the luck of the bounce, or that throw is not going to, get to the pole next time because it got, it's just a line drive or something like that. So there's a lot of things going on, but going down the list of players for this, I mean, literally, I think pretty much everybody has a decent shot at it. Sure, experience might come in. Like I said, it might be raining. Well, Adam, you and I have played in cold weather before and rainy weather before, and there's things you got to do differently, different spots you got to go. So some of that's experience, but when it comes down to it, it's just whoever's going to have the best 10 throws in a row and get a little lucky.
Okay, I got 2 prognostication questions for you guys to wrap this thing up. First one on the women's side, because we have the chance for something really historic. Amy Dieterman has been slow walking Beth down in terms of most women's title career. She's got 17, Beth's got 18. Also in the field is Erin Thompson, who is the most. Amy won last year's Women's World Championship. Erin Thompson won 2 years ago. And then Beth is the all-time greatest. Out of those 3, who's your pick and why? Who wins the women's title? Let's start with Jeff.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to go with Amy Dieterman. So I played with her last year. I think she's coming for your sister. I think she's coming for that championship.
Yeah, I would go with Erin. Watching all 3 of them. I mean, Beth did. I don't know if Beth even played any tournaments last year.
She played one, yeah.
Okay, and I don't know if her heart is in it. I think she would like to, but I think she has this this almost defeatist attitude towards it at this point. And then Amy, she can throw a 40 and still think it's terrible and every throw is awful and stuff like that. But Aaron, I think there's a huge competitive mentality there, and I think probably has the best arm. And when you're talking about those three, a lot of those throws come up short or wildly to the right. So I think Aaron's going to have fewer off throws.
Well, then I'll just complete the cycle and say I'm picking Beth. I think she turns back the clock. I think that arm that got her third or second place at the RFA Cup.
Has she been there every day practicing, Adam? Is that why you're going with
Second
this?
place long ago at the O2 US Open. That comes back in. I think you see an inspired performance, and no one's played in the rain as a woman more than Beth, and I think that'll play to her advantage too. Maybe the other two start slipping around a little bit. I'm going with Beth. All right. On the overall side, two things. And first of all, I want to say I want to exempt all three of us. Okay. So you can't, other than Derek, Jeff, and Adam. Okay. Who is your pick? You think this person is the one you'd bet on to win the whole thing? And then second, who's your dark horse? The guy you're looking at going, I think that it might be his time or her time. And again, we will start with Jeff. Point at you right there.
All right. Well, I'm going to have to go with Damien. I think, like we talked about earlier here today, it's his turn. Let's see if he can do it. And dark horse, I'm going to go with Nate Rohner. That's I practiced with him a lot last time when I showed up. And is he really a dark horse? I mean, I think he has a great shot of doing it.
All right, Derek.
Can we repeat anything?
I don't see why not. Sure. Yeah, go for it.
Well, I'm going to flip it though. I think Nate is going to win, not as a dark horse. I think he's an athletic guy. I've watched him in two different tournaments. One up close and personal where he put me in a hole early on, and I had to try to go around and around and around on that damn roof in San Diego, and couldn't quite catch up. So I just watching his scoring, I don't think there's many weaknesses there. It's definitely not going to be a tired thing, despite the flight and stuff. His arm going to be in perfectly fine shape. I look at him like physically from an athlete standpoint, much like one of the best roofball players ever to do it as Jason Richard. And from my dark horse, you already mentioned it, I'm going to go Doug Webb. It's funny to say that because they both played in the exact same number of tournaments. Obviously Nate won one. And Doug finished third, in a regional. But I think if we didn't mention him here, I think he'd fly completely under the radar. Yeah. But I think he's just that consistent where it will take multiple missteps within a 10 inning frame to knock him out, or some incredible high scores.
I think all you guys picks have a lot of really good rationale to him, especially because you're talking about guys now who have a few tournaments under their belt. They're not going to come in and be nervous about it. And I don't think these guys are the kind, sometimes in this period when you're like 3-4 tournaments and you start to overthink. And I don't think these guys are the type to overthink. Just to get a couple names out there, lest we not mention them. Rob Salisky's playing in this thing. He's definitely a threat. Caleb Burkest, RFA Cup last year went nuts. You know what he might do. Did I just say Salisky? Yes, I did. Shane Alberta's arm has been great early in the rounds, and then something's gone haywire. I could see him doing something. Chris Owens coming up from Arizona. I could definitely see him doing something. But for me, my pick to win, and it's probably the safest, I think it's Darren. Darren's got this steely-eyed gaze, man, and I think that he dialed in so well, and something about his throw. It's like he's got a combination. He's got like Derek's accuracy and Buddy's spin. And that's how you put up a 777. You're putting the ball on target every time, but getting that little extra kick, little extra luck. And he was just so dialed in last tournament. He's my pick. Not saying it's definite, obviously, but he's my pick. My dark horse, and probably present company excluded, the guy I would like to see win the most is Ruben Shug. The guy came off the bench last year, having not played in about a decade, and put up a 60, even though we gave him a 55. He got a 60 in the first round, had a solid second round, and then made it to the semis, got knocked out. I think he can put it all together, and I would love to see Ruben in his early 50s beat all the kids and win the whole thing.
Well, and I think for Ruben, right, he's finished second 2 or 3 times.
Four times total, and the first 3 were in a row.
And with no wins.
No wins. Most runners up without a win.
I think a couple other things to call out as far as the tournament goes. We mentioned Buddy earlier. You never know what to expect from Buddy. He can have
Hey,
the high
there's
and
no
low
football
score
game
of the
on.
day.
Right.
There's no football game on, so he won't be distracted. Maybe.
But is
Well,
that
he
a
won't
good
be
or bad
distracted
thing? You
with
never
that.
know.
Yeah. But if he wins, he will be the third person. Adam, correct me if I'm wrong, to win the cow. And it's interesting. It's interesting to me for you. You, Adam, I get. I mean, the one you're missing is the cup. It's the newest one, so you just haven't had that many attempts as the others.
Just
But
the
Buddy is
16
missing,
tries. That's all.
Buddy is missing the Worlds, which he's played in who knows how many times. I mean, maybe you do, but quite a few times. And he's won the cup, which again hasn't been played that much, twice or maybe three times. So, I think that's an interesting story. Dano coming back. If he added a seventh here, that would be like a Tiger Woods, differential between when he won the Masters in 2019 and all that. So a lot of great storylines, I think, coming out of this tournament.
Let me throw one other thing out there. This is a super nerdy Roofball stats type thing. Buddy also has an opportunity to be the first ever to do something, which is what I call the box set. He's finished first, second, and third in all three tournaments, except he's never won Worlds. If he won Worlds, he would be the first ever to win first, second, and third place in all three tournaments. So the nerdiness, my nerdiness will overflow. Derek, I have one other thing that's not at all related to this, except that I think it happened at the Worlds. There have been 2 ping 60s ever, which, by the way, there's another thing you want to prop bet in Vegas. The idea is of someone in this stacked group getting 10 pings and 10 catches. I could definitely see that happening. But outside of those 2, there was one other game that we weren't sure might have essentially been like a ping 60, but dressed up a little bit, which was your 70. Derek had an 8 ping, 2 around game. And for a long time, I thought, well, who knows? Maybe he hit the pole on those other 2. Is he sort of a ping 62? He just got too many points for it. Well, I just uncovered the video of that game, and I will say one of your rounds did not hit the pole. It was a straight bounce to the left, straight up to the upper roof. So your dream of 10 pings or just 10 contacts with the pole over 10 innings still exists. It's still out there for you to try to capture here at the 2024 Worlds.
It's my white whale.
Yes, it is.
All righty. Well, Jeff, any parting words?
Well, you guys are all talking about things you need to do, and I need to win a major. So that's what I got to do.
I know, my goodness, you had one shot and didn't. What's wrong with you?
Yeah. I mean, don't feel bad. Adam, how many times did it take you?
Only 8.
There you go.
But then I won 6 more after that, so it's all good.
Not everybody can win them in their first try. But
That's very true.
Anywho, Jeff, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to meeting you in person on Friday, and then getting to huck the pigskin around with you on Saturday. Adam, always a pleasure. And with that, we'll wrap up this episode and tune in Saturday, May the 4th be with you for the Roofball
1 p.m. Pacific, baby.